New York's Governor Kathy Hochul signed into law Tuesday a 2-year moratorium on new permits for proof of work cryptocurrency mining operators that rely on fossil fuels to power their activities. Joining us now to discuss this is Zafra CEO Ryan Brienza. Is one of the more interesting stories in crypto, of course, and he operates out of Plattsburgh, one of my favorite towns in upstate New York in the North Country. This is a guy who's been mining since he was what? How old were you? You were like 12 when you were mining, weren't you? Some crazy age like that. And hired his dad to help him with it while he was in college. You know, that's a good kid. Anyway. How are you doing, Ryan? Welcome to All About Bitcoin.
Oh, thanks for having me. Doing well, especially in the state of everything, but still mining away.
So, how does this ban? You of course, you have mining, you have hosting and data, and this is in Plattsburgh, as I mentioned before, in the North Country. You guys are relying on cheap electricity from the Niagara River. How does this ban? It's a temporary ban, to be sure, on new fossil fuel related mining. But how does it affect you, somebody who's mining in a place that's using hydroelectric?
So right now, this bill doesn't directly affect our operations. Nothing's going to change overnight. The bill is mainly focused on shutting down anybody who is looking for a new air permit. They're doing anything behind the meter with a gas plant or any sort of carbon-based fuels. Us in upstate New York, we're 100% hydro. So anything we've been doing so far and some of the future expansions we're looking at have all been renewable. And everything we're doing going forward is planned renewable with a lot of the backlash mining has seen with the use of fossil fuels. So now, nothing's really changed, but we are hoping they don't want to expand upon this going forward.
Right. So basically what you're saying is this doesn't really, even though this is signed in New York State is, of course, a big place. It doesn't look like it really affects New York State miners because upstate New York is so dependent on hydroelectric from the Niagara River. Is that correct?
That is correct. Most of New York actually is pretty renewable, I'd say, for people that are mining. So there's a few people that do operate with a gas plant in the state or with a behind the meter, which that does affect, which I think the bill is kind of more targeted towards them. And New York wanting to not let that expand or ramp up going forward. So right now it's minimal, I'd say, to who it affects. But going forward, there's definitely now a heightened risk for investors looking to get into New York or even potential clients with some of the headlines that people are seeing where this could go and what has happened. So New York being kind of the most against mining in the States.
So Chamber of Digital Commerce, their crypto advocacy group, they said that the legislation unfairly targets the crypto industry itself. They said, and I'm going to quote here, to date, no other industry in the state has been sidelined like this for its energy usage. This is a dangerous precedent to set in determining who may or may not use power. And that's their quote. Do you agree with that? Or do you think that because, as you mentioned, this New York State has mostly renewable energy and very few or not a significant amount of people are mining using fossil fuels, that this isn't really a threat? Or do you see this as the first step in something terrible?
It's hard to say if I see it as a first step. I would say, though, I do agree with that statement. I don't know of any other industry that's regulated on how much energy they can use and or how much energy can be used. One good thing you can point out, or I guess what you're sectioning your energy off to being, is that EV is a big push right now. Whether that's all renewable or not, you might have a renewable car. You're not burning gasoline, but there's a gas plant somewhere in New York State or some other part of the country that's burning gas to power that car. You're saving it on one end, but you're not on the other. I think mining, they're taking advantage of a lot of renewable resources or underutilized renewable resources in New York State, and it does create a big economic benefit, especially for the upstate region where a lot of industry has been leaving. This has been something that's coming back in. It's new, it's cutting edge. You don't know exactly where everything's going to go, but I think mining does have a bright future, and a lot of miners these days are green focused, which I think can push more renewable energy in New York State.
Yeah, nonetheless, Governor Hochul passed this bill. It was sent to her back in June, but she waited until now to sign. What do you think at the time? Do you think that she really waited until the election was over for whatever reason, or do you think that it was just not a priority?
I would assume that it was she was waiting for the election. It's a weird timing for it to now get signed. Granted, it's been passed since June or so. I mean, there's 3 months or so of it sitting there. She could have been considering it. I think, though, this most recent election here in New York State was a pretty heated one. She probably didn't want to change anybody's kind of mindset or kind of change who's voting for what, depending on how she acted on this. The New York City mayor did ask her to veto it, and he was a proponent against this bill. So that I do think there's definitely some political decision making behind this. And to the
now, of course, upstate winters are cruel. We just saw a massive snowstorm in the western part of the state. It's not great shakes when it comes to heat either up near where you are today. I don't know what's going on Cornelia Street, to be honest. But nonetheless, there's crypto winter, which is even worse, it seems, for a lot of people. It might even be crypto ice age. How are you dealing with it, with prices down to 16,000 and change, with all these companies having all these problems and exchanges falling apart and lenders also having issues? How are you as a miner going about this? Is it hurting you guys? Is it business as usual? What's going on?
I wouldn't say. I would definitely say it's hurting. Not terribly compared to some other people or some other companies in the business. We're in a pretty good situation at the moment. We do have to work with some customers. I mean, mining is very tight earning wise now. We've been through this before back in the last crypto winter, 2018, 2019. It pushes you to have to be a little more innovative in ways that you can, cut costs and stay around. Which we are seeing a lot of other big mining companies starting to file bankruptcy at risk of that. So definitely conscious of that. But I mean, our goal, we're mainly hosting. So we want to make sure our customers are still can survive through this crypto winter. And we're being a little more flexible with them, as well as we're actually starting to invest more in some expansion because we do think at some point this will turn around. It's hard to say when with everything that's going on right now, but we're still bullish. And we're going to keep building out and pushing towards getting larger and doing something still in New York.
So you're still employing your dad, I assume, right? He's still working with you?
He is still working with me.
Okay, good. Well, that's good. Hey, listen, happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy. You guys don't have any snow up there yet. You didn't get that lake effect snow, right? The Adirondacks blocked you, but I know Plattsburgh winters are not a lot of fun, and still, hopefully this and the crypto winter will do you okay. So congratulations, and best of luck. Happy Thanksgiving. That was Zafra CEO Ryan Brienza.